Could the newly buffed Guinevere finally be the worthy opponent we've all been waiting for? Alright, let's find out. And here's the draft, and right away you'll notice that Ixia is still one of the most highly picked heroes in ranked. On our side, we decided to secure Minsitthar as our very first pick. He's a solid choice that can fit into many situations. Then the enemy team instantly responded by locking in Guinevere, and with her recent buffs, this is the perfect chance to test if she truly has what it takes to challenge the king and turn this match into something exciting instead of being boring. Now start by taking your second skill and positioning yourself inside the bush. This gives you the perfect setup to poke and control the early game. Guinevere had the option to either go from the front or sneak in from the right side. Either way, what I want you to notice is that Minsitthar holds the advantage in the early minutes of the game. To make it clearer, I'd rate Guinevere's threat level at about 5 out of 10 during this stage. However, since she's running execute, it lowers her chances of making an outplay and leaves her without a proper escape option. So in this particular match, I'd rate Guinevere's threat level at just 3.5 out of 10. Now, let her clear the first 2 minions, then start closing in and poke her once only the EXP card is left. By doing this, you create a level gap, and I do have to commend her for stacking her enhanced basic attack with the help of the crab. That was a smart move. But unfortunately for her, since she was only using execute, she doesn't have any real escape tools. At this point, it's easy for us to secure the takedown. That's why I'd recommend using flicker. It gives you more flexibility and a safer escape option. But of course, it's completely fine if you're more comfortable with execute. Then just make sure that when you farm the crab, you stay close to your minions so you don't miss out on any XP or gold. And don't get greedy trying to last hit minions. Just hold the wave, freeze it, and stay close. Once your next set of minions arrives, slip into the bush to scout for Guinevere and be ready to punish her the moment she tries to go for the minions. And remember, just like Lapu Lapu, Guinevere isn't a real threat without her ultimate. So even if she lands her second skill, don't panic because it's fake. Yes, you might take a little poke at first, but you'll hit back harder in the end with the help of your passive. And I also hope this video helps Guinevere mains out there. Remember, if you don't have your ultimate or an escape option ready, never try to duel Minsitthar. His bonus passive heal and damage have been significantly increased, making him way harder to deal with. That's why the smart move for Guinevere is to back off immediately if her second skill doesn't connect. Then we pulled off the same strategy we used earlier, and suddenly their roam and jungler tried to take down the king. But instead, they fell right into the trap, baited and completely checkmated by the king. But then, I got hit by their dark square bishop, and they managed to get some trade, slowing down the king and stopping him from becoming completely unstoppable. And our lane opponent made sure to take advantage of that by farming the gold plates. But I can proudly say I had really good random teammates in this match, especially our tank. He never hesitated to use his ultimate even on a single target. You see, I often notice tank players being too hesitant, always trying to save their ultimate for that flashy 4 or 5 man setup. But the truth is, a single catch can already change the fight. I hope other tank users can learn from our roamer in this game. Now, I know some of you might say in the comments that I was only up against a low-skilled Guinevere user, but let me make this clear. I don't mean to judge anyone's skill or their decisions in the game. I respect and understand everyone's choices. But to be honest though, even before the match started, I already knew I could handle Guinevere just by looking at her battle spell. You see, execute, flame shot, or inspire may be effective in ranks like epic, legend, or mythical glory. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to hurt anyone who prefers using those spells, especially if you're already comfortable with them. I'll never interfere with your personal choice of battle spell because I fully respect that. But I just want to share my view and understanding of this. Who knows, this could potentially change the way you play or improve your playstyle. I'll just share everything I know that might help you. And it's completely okay whether you agree or love me or hate me. Alright, so take the pro scene for example. You'll rarely see anyone using execute, flame shot, or inspire, except in very specific cases and heroes like Wan or Melissa. And I remember one pro player who tried inspire on Moskov, but their team still struggled and eventually lost that game. Yes, with the right team composition potentially these battle spells can work, but the reality is they leave a big window for the enemy to engage, since they don't provide much safety or escape mechanic. Unlike flicker or purify, which force opponents to think twice before diving in, because with those spells, you could turn the fight around and completely checkmate the enemies instead. Now we're back in the game, and yes, we really underestimated our lane opponent. If you've been paying attention, we've already been taken down a couple of times already. That's why for those of you thinking this Guinevere was just a low-skilled player, well, think again. She's been capitalizing on every mistake we made, and it's starting to show. And at this point, I have to admit I'm regretting underestimating her, even if she's only using execute as her battle spell. You can't really let your guard down, because the moment you do, your opponent can flip the match and turn the pressure back on you. Look, she even managed to take the tower first, and I take full responsibility for what happened. Also, the enemies weren't even bragging or being toxic, so we were also kinda chilling in this match. But still, that's not an excuse to let our guard down. In a game like this, discipline is everything. So I decided to shift my focus and start putting pressure on the map by pushing down their turrets. Now watch how confidently and greedily we deny this farm. Yes, I knew Guinevere was going to jump in, but by positioning myself right at the edge of the bush, she wouldn't be able to land her second skill. But here's the thing though, we underestimated her way too much, and she clearly knows what she's doing. Just look at how she engages with her enhanced basic attack already prepared, and with just a couple of hits, she was able to stack up and complete all 3 of her passive marks. Now I think we can all agree that this Guinevere isn't a beginner after all. Just look at how she slowly starts to snowball in this match, picking us off one by one. But of course, we were also keeping a close eye on her every move. But watch closely, because for some reason, my hook indicator got stuck, and that tiny moment turned into a huge missed opportunity to punish her and shut down her momentum, and yes, we've been taken down again. Then we planned to help our teammates secure the lord, but I spotted Guinevere on the minimap circling behind us, so I moved in to disrupt her play. Unfortunately, I couldn't finish her off. I really thought I had her, so much so that I didn't even bother to follow up with my hook to pull her right into the center of the king's calling. That hesitation cost me the chance to finally shut her down. Now she's on the run, and we're on the hunt. Looks like she's planning to pressure our top lane. Since we lost our ultimate, I usually try to play around its cooldown by doing something meaningful on the other side of the map. It's still a 4v4 situation near the lord, and I have a feeling the enemies won't be confident enough to start it. So, in the meantime, we pursue Guinevere, but once again, we forget that she's not someone to underestimate. To make matters worse, our teammates were being picked off one by one down on the bottom side of the map. And yes, the enemies got the lord for free. And And finally, their Harley has started bragging. And for those who don't know me yet, I'm Checkmate, and we're going to make sure these enemies get humble. Now look at them, they're getting overconfident, even disrespecting the presence of the king. But that mistake is exactly what brought us to this critical point in the game. And the enemies still don't seem to have learned from our past mistakes, so this time we will be the one to punish them so they too can learn. And take note, Minsithar's wave clear ability is absolutely unmatched. He's one of the best fighters when it comes to quickly clearing waves and shredding down the enemy's lord. That's a huge advantage in moments like this, because instead of wasting time chasing enemies around the map, we shifted our focus to what really matters, which is to defend. So we locked in on clearing the minion waves together with their lord, making sure they couldn't capitalize on their push. And you'll notice that I'm not afraid even if enemies will go after me. That's because if I can land my ultimate perfectly, I can manage to take down 1 or 2 enemies as a trade. But I wasn't able to pull it off perfectly, and yes, we got taken down in the process. But honestly, that's fine, because what's important is that we already accomplished our main objective in defending against their lord. And now watch Harley. He dives in with full confidence, thinking he can't possibly be punished by the king. But what he didn't realize is that all of my teammates were already prepared for him. Even our tank was patiently waiting in the nearby bush, ready to strike at the perfect moment. And as if that wasn't enough, Guinevere also tried to force some trades to turn the fight in their favor. Unfortunately for her, that gamble didn't pay off either. She got taken down as well. And we didn't waste a single second. We immediately rotated straight to the top lane to apply pressure, knowing that the next lord was about to spawn on the bottom side. On the way, we also made sure to strip away every resource we could get, like this jungle creeps, just to choke out the enemy little by little. But here's an important tip: you don't always push right away. Instead, you make use of the king's trap. Let the enemies think it's safe to defend their turret, while you're lurking in the nearby bush, waiting for that perfect opportunity. The moment they step too close, that's when you caught them by surprise. So the key here is to wait patiently and prioritize the enemy's gold laner whenever possible. That's exactly why, the moment I spotted Ixia, I didn't hesitate. I immediately landed my ultimate. But if you watch closely, our skill 2 casting was interrupted by Ixia's second skill, which forced us to shift the focus to Guinevere instead. That could have gone a lot better if we had managed to take down their gold laner. And now we're facing another problem. Our jungler is down, and the lord will respawn in just a few seconds. But I still have high hopes for our tank and mage. They've been playing exceptionally well this match. Just look at how they've positioned themselves on the map. It's a perfect setup, but Tigreal's flicker isn't available yet. Even if Harley gets close, he can easily escape once he sees them. And I have to commend that, because if you observe closely, he didn't reveal himself or begin walking immediately after pressing conceal, and only tank mains can relate. I can proudly tell that I got a good teammates here. And now they make their move, but unfortunately, they're immediately spotted by Selena. Luckily, they still managed to take down a crucial hero, the enemy's jungler, which is a small win for them. Now, knowing that we still have our jungler available, the enemies are likely going to focus more on resetting the lord, trying to hold on and make the best of the situation while waiting for their jungler to respawn. And that's exactly the opportunity you want to capitalize on. If you notice that the enemies aren't confident or capable of fully committing to the lord yet, use that window to rotate to the top lane and start pushing their turrets. Keep in mind, Minsitthar excels at simultaneously clearing minions and pressuring turrets, so this is the perfect chance to apply map-wide pressure. By constantly threatening the top lane, you force the enemy team to split their attention, slow down their lord attempts, and gradually give your team control of the game. Now it's very important that after you successfully destroy a turret, you rotate to help secure objectives. That was my plan, to head down and assist them. However, after carefully assessing the situation, I realized our jungler had already been poked, and we were outnumbered since our tank wasn't available yet. That's why we decided not to rotate immediately, and instead continued applying pressure in the top lane. Because I calculated that even if the enemies managed to secure the lord, which is a scenario that could still happen by the way even if we were present in the clash, given our jungler was already low, we accepted that enemies will secure the lord. Our claim is that we've created a lane imbalance in the top lane. With the top lane pushed and minions constantly building pressure, defending the lord becomes much easier, giving us control over the map despite the enemy taking the objective. But before we could finish our calculation, our teammates started getting picked off one by one. You could feel the panic and despair as everyone was pressing the resign button, thinking the game was already lost. But the king doesn't surrender that easily. Defending the base at this point might seem impossible, but as the saying goes, the best defense is a strong offense. And that's exactly what we were about to demonstrate. And I know our base is also hanging and enemies are confidently going for the back rank checkmate. But this is now or never. I'm prepared for whosoever want to defend their base and give all my strength, and it's probably not their gold lane because she will be the key to push and destroy our turret. But look, I guess every one of them panicked and pressed their recall buttons at this point. I feel a bit sad because it's so heartbreaking to see them like this. And once again, this is Checkmate. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you won't miss our next guide.